Sometimes new beginnings don't announce themselves. They don't arrive with certainty or confidence. Most of the time, they begin so quietly that we almost overlook them. A single thought, a moment of curiosity, a page waiting to be painted. There was something my grandmother often said: everything begins with a thought. I assumed she was talking about ideas, about making plans or deciding what to do next. It took me many years to realize she meant something much deeper. Not that we could control every thought that entered our minds, but that we could choose which ones deserved our attention. Every day, thousands of thoughts pass through our minds. Some disappear before we even notice them. Others stay for a while. Some tell us stories about what might go wrong. We imagine conversations that never happen, mistakes we haven't made, futures that don't exist anywhere except inside our own minds. I've spent more time than I'd like to admit living inside those imagined futures, thinking instead of creating, waiting instead of beginning. But perhaps the thoughts themselves aren't the most important part. Perhaps what matters is the attention we give them. Because we don't have to follow every thought that arrives. We can let some of them pass, and we can choose which ones deserve to grow. Maybe that's what my grandmother was trying to tell me all those years ago. Not that we can control every thought, but that our lives slowly take shape around the thoughts we return to, the ones we quietly believe and eventually turn into action. This year, I've been making a handmade journal, one page each month. Each page begins with a tarot card. Not because I'm looking for predictions, but because I enjoy the conversations they begin. For the month of June, the card I drew was the Page of Pentacles. Traditionally, it's a card of learning, new beginnings, curiosity, and patiently developing your skills. But that isn't what stayed with me. What stayed with me was something much simpler: playfulness. The energy of someone who is willing to learn because they're curious, not because they're trying to prove anything. Children understand this naturally. They don't ask whether they'll be good at something before they begin. They don't compare today's drawing with the one they made last week. They simply explore. Somewhere along the way, many of us lose that. We become so focused on the outcome that we forget how to play. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about that, especially after making the decision to work differently this summer. The heat has changed my routine. Large canvases have become more difficult to work on. For a while, I saw that as a limitation, but slowly it became an invitation to paint smaller, to return to my journal, to experiment, to become a beginner again. And perhaps that's exactly where this Page of Pentacles found me. Not at the beginning of my journey as an artist, but at the beginning of a new conversation with my work. As I paint this page, I notice something familiar happening. Part of me wants to know exactly where it's going. Part of me wants reassurance that it will turn out well. Another part simply wants to enjoy placing one color beside another or play with collage papers I made in winter. It's interesting how those voices all exist at the same time. The question isn't which voice appears. The question is which one I choose to listen to. Today, I want to follow curiosity, not perfection, not certainty, just curiosity. I've realized that curiosity asks very little of us. It doesn't ask us to be talented. It doesn't ask us to have all the answers. It only asks us to take the next small step. Maybe that's why children learn so quickly, not because they're fearless, but because they aren't trying to protect an image of themselves. They aren't worried about looking inexperienced. They already know they are, and that's perfectly enough. I wonder how many opportunities I've missed simply because I believed the wrong thought. The thought that I wasn't ready, that I needed more experience, that I should wait until I felt more confident. Confidence rarely arrives before we begin. More often, it quietly grows afterwards, one brushstroke at a time, one decision at a time, and one page at a time. When I look at this finished journal page, I don't just see painting. I see a reminder that every meaningful change starts long before anyone else can see it. It starts with a thought we choose to follow, a thought we decide deserves our attention. Not every thought becomes our future, but every future begins with one thought that we nourished instead of letting drift away. Perhaps that's what my grandmother understood. And perhaps that's the quiet lesson this little card arrived with to remind me of. Not to chase certainty, not to wait until I'm ready, but to stay curious, to keep learning, to keep playing, because maybe becoming isn't something we finish, Maybe it's something we practice, one page at a time,